Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. So let us begin. Welcome to 9 Minutes with Nefertiti. Hello everybody, welcome to conversation number 9. I apologize if you looked for conversation 9 on our Wednesday. I got, again, backed up in some personal work-life stuff, so I apologize, but I'm here. I'm ready for conversation number 9, and as I always like to say, I hope you're having a great day, and thank you for taking a few minutes to tune in. Well, today's conversation is for anybody who has a child in their life. Not just for mommies and daddies, grandparents, or teachers. I mean anybody. If you're a godparent, if you're an auntie, if you're an uncle, if you have a child in your life, this conversation is for you. In early childhood, we have a term that we refer to as developmentally appropriate practice. First, let me give you a formal definition, and then we'll take it down a few notches. According to the National Association for the Education of Young Children, developmentally appropriate practice is an approach to teaching grounded in the research on how young children develop and learn and what is known about effective early education. So again, that's the formal definition of developmentally appropriate practice. You may sometimes see the acronym DAP, capital D, capital A, capital P. But developmentally appropriate practice means knowing what to expect from our children at their various ages and stages. There are typical developmental phases that our children go through. And as parents and as teachers, and as I like to say, members of the village, it is important that we know what we're looking at when we're watching our children grow and develop. So that we're all on the same page. Children develop in 4 primary areas. First, there's intellectual development. That's how they think and learn. Then there is physical development. That's how their body moves, both running and skipping and jumping, walking, and even what they do with their hands is considered physical development. Then there is social development. That's all about how they get along with others, working in groups, working in collaboration, social development. And then there is emotional development. That's that innermost part of who they are, how they feel, and how they feel then determines how they act. So their emotional development takes a look at how they feel, or I like to say that innermost part of them. Now, it's important to remember that teachers are not only responsible for providing developmentally appropriate practice. Parents, you and I must do a good job of this as well. Members of the village, you must do a good job of knowing what to expect from our children and how best to provide opportunities for them to develop within those stages. So our daughter started preschool about 3 weeks ago. And I promised that I was going to be the best parent. I was going to arrive on time. I was going to pick up on time. I was going to make sure she always had her proper school supplies. I was ready. So about 2 weeks, maybe a week into school, the teacher says she's doing great. You might, however, want to think about bringing her to school with some easy on, easy off shoes. And you may also want to think about making sure she has some pants that she can pull on and off and no buttons. Well, did she just tell me? Did she just tell me? So here I am, priding myself. I'm going to be this amazing parent. And the staff is wonderful. And they had to remind me of developmentally appropriate practices. So our daughter was going to school many days with some Converse on. The high top ones with all the ties. Yeah, not easy to get on or off. Not easy for the adults. Certainly not easy for a 2-year-old. And she's potty training. So yes, a few days I slipped on her jeans with the buttons. And that's not okay if I can do something different. So what does she need to meet her developmental need? She needs some easy on, easy off shoes. I can do that. she needs some pants that don't require snipping and buttoning, I can do that. Because developmentally, a 2-year-old cannot get those shoes on. It's just too hard. And she certainly can't tie them up. So developmentally appropriate meant that I needed to provide her with a shoe that she can slip on and off. So she's got a few pair, one with some Velcro on it, one with a pull-up tab in the back that has some mock shoelaces, because now developmentally appropriate means meet her where she is. Help her learn to get the shoe on and off. As she grows, she'll be able to tie that shoe, but not right now. The skill is developing. It is not yet developed. And our task as parents is to give her things that give her a little bit of challenge, but not so much of a challenge that she feels overwhelmed. So getting the shoes on and off is where she is right now, and we're helping her with that. And those pants, you got to get to the potty, and you need to make that easy. So pull up and pull down pants is what she's wearing to school now. That's how we even got to this conversation, because I was thinking, wow, if I had to be reminded of developmentally appropriate practices, then maybe I'm not alone. What are you doing to make sure you are meeting your child where they are and providing them with the experiences that they need to give them a little challenge, but not so much of a challenge that it becomes a discouragement or that you become overwhelmed or they become overwhelmed? That's developmentally appropriate practice. The other thing I want us to remember is that all children develop at the different levels. And while there are typical expectations, remember, children are different and they're going to meet their milestones differently. But if you get to know what to look for, then you can know when they're on track and when you might need to ask for help from your pediatrician. But that's the goal. When you know what you're looking at, then you can know when they're right on track and when they might need a little bit of help. So I put a number of resources on my website so that we can continue this discussion. Because as I always say, when you press the stop button, I hope that's just the beginning of a conversation wherever you are. So what's the point of this conversation? Know what you're looking at. Our children develop in ages and stages. It is important for us to know what we're looking at so we can best meet their needs. They need us to be smart about these things so that we know when they're right on track and when we may need to seek out some help or support. Again, I was brought to this conversation because I forgot the importance of pull-up easy-on pants and Velcro shoes. So I wanted to make sure we all thought about developmentally appropriate practices and expectations. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next conversation number 10. Enjoy the rest of your day.